So here we go. We are all set up. Can you grab your water off the stand, Dan? I'm going to show you what everything looks like. Got a lot of new stuff this year. I know my setup typically looks pretty much the same, but it's not. We do have a lot of new stuff. So there's Bovine and Kevin and Kira. They're the stars of our show this time. Just going to walk you around. I made a couple blanket ladders, and when I do that, I always kind of demonstrate what they're good for, because people don't know unless you show them. So here's our new truck. I love how Hobby Lobby framed it. Their frames were buy one, get one when I went in there, so I just had them frame a couple for me, because that way I don't have to do everything myself. So there's the only pillows I brought. I have more at home if I need them, and more under the table here. There's another Tupperware full of inventory. There's also plenty at home. And since this is a 3-day show, what we do is we come in early the next morning and replenish and restock and make sure that everything is just as it will be today, as good as we can get it done. Oh, I forgot to price these little birdies. I'll have to do that. Anyway, I just love these little sunflowers and the pop of color they add to our booth. Super excited about those. I think they'll do well. I'm also super excited about my new truck. I love the whole Americana thing. You can see I sort of made an Americana display here with all the stuff I had left from last time I did an Americana display. Oh, there's those sunflower things we made. Those are the only two I had left. So I have to make more of those before our next show. There's a spindle box with extra pegboards in it. I'm going to show you down low, up high. There's that decoupage project we're going to work on in a video soon. I made that for an article that I wrote. And so, I'm referring to the eat sign. So I just thought I'd stick it in here and see if it sells, because I don't eat it in my kitchen. Ain't nobody to tell me to eat. There's that decoupage paper project I did with my cow. Not the same one, but same idea. Well, there's some birds. They always sell. Birds always sell. There's Brandon. That's that sheep named Wolf. Here's that super simple DIY I told about in my last video. Wolf. Brandon way down there. We're using like every possible inch we can in our booth, which is normal. Sometimes we do it and sometimes we don't. Make the best use of our space. We try really hard. Oh, I wanted to show you. Here's those perpetual calendars we worked on in a video. Here's the pigs we worked on. There's the bovines we worked on. There's another spindle box. It holds some pillowcases with the truck on it and some shelf sitters with the truck on it. It's my original truck, the first one I did. But let me show you. I have a wagon full of note cards. I love those. I have those printed at the print shop that does my scanning for me, which is so great because it's one thing I don't have to make. You can see back here, all of our crates in the back are full of inventory too. So as things sell, we just grab things from back there and put it on the table. going to be a good day here at Vintage Market Days at the Lee Civic Center in Fort Myers. We're already scheduled for the February events, and we have another Vintage Market Days coming up in Tampa next month. So I hope to see you one of those three places very soon. Okay, we're getting into our first little DIY here, and I'm just painting these hearts white. These are the little 16 pack of hearts that are in the checkout aisle when you're going through the maze to pay at Michael's. And I think they're at $4.99 for 16 of them. If you have a 20% off coupon, that makes them a little cheaper. So if you're making things in bulk, these are a good little substrate to work with. Also, before we continue, I wanted to explain to you that I had intended to film as many vendors as I could at Vintage Market Days, but that's not really allowed at Vintage Market Days. I asked before I filmed anything, and so it's very trademarked. And you know what? That's just fine. That's their brand, and I understand they want to represent it themselves. So anyway, we were allowed to do whatever we wanted to in our own booth, and so that's what we did. Anyway, so I'm just giving these a light coat of just white chalk paint or plaster, whichever color I had on hand. And the idea is I'm just whiting out the background so that once again, I can water slide on top of those hearts. These are going to have my little cow that I call bovine on them. Actually, my little bull that I call bovine. And I really, really love how these turned out. I attached them to these black metal hearts. They weren't black. They were galvanized metal. Found them at Hobby Lobby for $1.24 a piece. I just glued those to that metal heart, and then you'll see here in a minute if I include it in this video. Not sure that I did. Actually, I think I didn't. But I just attached 9 links of that black chain to each of them. And that black chain is something that I picked up from Home Depot. So I think actually all in total, I made 17 of those. And those are going to go to Tampa Vintage Market Days with us in less than a week. So that's DIY number 1. We've got several more to go, but first I'm going to break in here and tell you a thing or two. Hey, Jennifer here. I'm so glad y'all joined us today. Actually, I'm so glad that we're back on YouTube. We've been a little MIA, and that's simply because we had a very successful show 2 weeks ago this weekend, and now I'm super busy creating for our next show, which is next weekend in Tampa at the Strawberry Fields. So if you're anywhere near that area, it's called Vintage Market Days. It's a 3-day show, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, October 6th through 8th. So if you can be there, we would love to see you. This video has been all about all the things that I need to do to replenish our inventory, and that requires making some things in bulk. So that's what I did. Also, just wanted to show you what our finished products look like, and hope that you enjoy what you see here today. I made these little goat houses, we'll call them. There are 3 of them, and they're also 3 daisies. I make what I have product to make. So if you know the life of an upcycler, you find what you find when you can find it. So those are things that I found in my scavenger hunts that I go on probably on a weekly basis, maybe bi-weekly. I go thrifting, I go clearance shopping, I buy things at the deepest discount possible to stock my booth. my vendor booth. We don't have a regular like antique mall that we display things in or sell things in. We sell things from home and also at our shows, which we're sort of paring down and doing probably 4 big shows a year, and we might fill in here and there. Anyway, so you're seeing what I made. I made these bovine hearts. You're going to see that in the video. Made some sunflower boards. These were an old plant stand that I found at the bins. If you've seen the plant stand, it sort of sits like this on a spindle with a pedestal base, and there are several of these that you can put plants on. I just disassembled that, and that's what I made those boards with. These are little boards that I picked up at Aldi, and they were deeply discounted. I think they were $2.29 for a 4-pack, so that makes them pretty cheap. Tons of cutting boards I made this time. Also, I wanted to talk to you about something I have coming up, an idea that I have coming up. Y'all really bought my cow decoupage paper, and I appreciate that. I sold over 100 units of that so far, and so far it's our most watched video. So I totally appreciate that. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, supporting me in our venture here on YouTube. I truly appreciate that. But I wanted to talk to you about this decoupage paper that I made, and this is also a project that appears in this video. I wanted to know if y'all like this decoupage paper well enough to buy it. Is it something I should make available? I made some for myself here at home. I also ordered some from Zazzle. I haven't gotten it in yet, but when I do, it's going to be great big. I think it's 17 by 23, and I'm going to make a few of these in a much larger scale. This was sort of my prototype. Anyway, but if y'all would like to buy something like this decoupage paper, if you could comment below, just let me know yes or no you'd like the decoupage paper, and that way I know whether I should make it available. This is my newest art piece, and it's sort of unusual that I would offer my newest art piece available this way, but I feel like this is something we all need right now. I feel like patriotism is always in style. So anyway, y'all let me know what you think. I'm going to sign off here and just thank you all for tuning in this time. I hope that y'all have a great weekend, and I'm going to try really hard to be on here next weekend. If not, it's because we're at a show. Okay, we're getting into our second craft here, and what I have here are these house shapes that I bought at Big Lots. They were on clearance. I think they may have been $2 or $3, something like that. But they also had a smaller house attached to the front of them, and I pried that off, and I have those set aside for another project, which you'll see at the end of this current project. Anyway, so this is my cow named Daisy that I'm putting on these little houses. I have 3 of them. I've painted them out. They had like a scrapbook paper decoupage type thing on the front. It was going to be way too difficult to peel that off, so I just painted over it. And then I painted the roofs of those little houses farmhouse green. It's a Dixie Belle paint, and I love the coverage that it gives. I also love the color, and I think it's just perfect for this little cow named Daisy. Anyway, I'm using waterslide paper. I know y'all love how much I love waterslide paper, so I have beside me there lukewarm water in my bowl, and I'm letting my waterslide image soak in that water for up to a minute, 30 seconds to a minute. And you can see when the image is ready to slide, it's ready to come off the paper. So I am holding the image down with my finger, my left hand, and then I'm using my right hand to pull the carrier paper out from under the waterslide paper. Now, it's really important that you be able to grasp the edge of that paper, so you want to slide your image off from the opposite end. Now I've gotten all these images onto my boards. Now I'm just going to attach those bottoms. I wanted to make these into little shelf sitters, so you can see I added a little ledge on the bottom. That was just a 1x2. I did those on the goats and the cows. Now we're going to work on our little cutting boards. I'm using napkins. These are cutting boards that I bought at Aldi. They came 4 in a pack, and they had various shapes and sizes of them. They have round ones, oval ones, square ones, and rectangle ones. So they come 4 in a set, and by the time they clearanced them, they were $2.29 for 4 of them. So that is roughly 57 cents per board. So that's a pretty good price in my book, and I have dozens of them to go through. I have wood ones that I set aside for my fall projects, and then I have some that were all painted up pastel colors, and I saved those for my Easter projects. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just decoupaging this napkin onto my cutting board. You've seen me do this before, and you've probably seen other crafters do it as well. I am using a thin, light coat of Mod Podge. I do not want to saturate the napkin. I don't want to get it wet. So now I have a little ball of cling wrap, and instead of using it balled up, I generally wrap it around my finger and then just use my finger to push in all of those wrinkles and bumps and whatever it is. And I also want to push it down really well on the edge. I've waited for my Mod Podge to dry, and now I'm using my finger sander to sand the excess paper away from the board. You can see I'm sanding away from the board. I'm shaking my table, but when I realize I'm doing that, I stop. So you're welcome. Now, after I get all that paper sanded away from the board, I'm going to embellish this, and I'm just using things that I already have in my stash, little pieces and parts of things that I've picked apart. I usually harvest the pieces that I like from wreaths. I buy them for that purpose from the bins. Whatever it is, I didn't go out and buy anything special for these by any means. I'm just using what I have on hand. I'm going to give it a top coat of Mod Podge, then I'm going to let that dry, of course, and then I'll be ready to add those embellishments. What I'm using for a little handle on these is a strip of leather string that I buy at Michael's. I buy it on a spool. I always try to buy it when I have a 40% off coupon. And here I am just wrapping some twine around the neck of my board. You see I tacked it to the back with hot glue. Now I'm wrapping it around. And when I'm ready to end, I will tack it down the same way with hot glue. Then I'll trim that edge off. And then I come in with my lighter there, and you'll see that I singe off all those stray hairs. And that's just so it looks neater and more finished. I like for things to have a rustic appearance, but I really don't want them to be rustic. Let's just put it that way. So here I am. Again, this is just a little piece of something that I harvested from a wreath or a flower arrangement that I wasn't going to use for its intended purpose. And I'm just using a hot glue. Now you're going to see me come in here and tie one of my jute string finger bows. This is a multi-loop bow that ends up having just 2 tails, and that's why I like it. One time I really am going to slow this down and show you in real time how I do it. And since you probably haven't seen me do any other bows, you probably think this is the only bow I know how to do. And that's probably true. It's not true, but eventually we will talk about how to make some other bows. But this is just a great little fall bow. If you notice, for fall, we seem to do a lot of rustic projects with the same elements over and over. So the finishing touch there on the elements or the embellishments is just to glue that sunflower down. I don't know if I show it, but I'm also going to come in with that ink you see there in the upper left corner, and I'm going to use that to distress the edges of my board. I didn't show you that apparently, but here you go. These are all the little sunflower boards that I made. I made quite a few of these. This probably isn't all that I made, but I did make those. And then these next ones I'm going to show you, I didn't film myself making these, but these are just water slide paper, the same little boards from Aldi right there, and water slide paper. I get my graphics from Creative Fabrica. We've talked about that in several videos at this point. And so there will be a link below for how you can get those same graphics. And these are the boards that I showed you in my intro, where this was just a plant stand that had 5 of these little shelves, and I just harvested those. And then I also have a bunch of spindles from that same plant stand. So we'll see how we use those. Now, this is the project that I am the most excited about in this video, because I have had this decoupage paper planned out since I drew this truck. This was my project for the last few months. I've been working on this truck in the evening when my husband and I can sit down for an hour and watch TV or whatever it is we do in the evening. If it involves sitting, I've got my drawing board and my colored pencils, and I've been working on this truck. So I finally got it done. I took it to my print shop and had it scanned. And after it's digitized, I can do anything I want to with it. So one of the things that I knew I was going to do was create a decoupage paper. So for now, it's just available here for me, and I've printed it out on tissue paper. I'm sure y'all know how to do that, or you've heard that you can tape a piece of tissue paper to a regular piece of 8.5 by 11 printer paper. Just tape it across the top, make sure it's trimmed and that it's even with the paper so nothing's going to get stuck in your printer. And it acts as a carrier sheet, and you can send it right through your printer. So that's what I did here. I printed my newly designed decoupage paper onto tissue paper. I took it immediately out of the printer into my workshop, and I sprayed it with Mod Podge acrylic spray to seal it, because you know that when you print with an inkjet printer, especially that red ink has a tendency to run when you use Mod Podge, but as you can tell, that's not happening in this case because I sealed it with the Mod Podge acrylic sealer. If you don't have acrylic sealer, hairspray, aerosol hairspray will work in a pinch. You can give it a few coats of that. And you know, sometimes you don't get that kind of bleeding if you don't have red in your image, but red always seems to be the culprit. You can see here that I accidentally cut the corner off of my decoupage paper, but I found it, and now I'm just coming right back in and patching it. You'll never even know that it wasn't there. You can see I used a really thick coat of Mod Podge. Usually I'm preaching, you know, against big globs of Mod Podge. I'm telling you to keep it light and thin, but this time, because we're decoupaging onto drop cloth, we need to use a thicker application of Mod Podge, because that drop cloth is going to just sort of slurp that Mod Podge right in. So in order to keep the surface sticky, we're going to need to use a thicker coat. And so I've done one side of my truck. Now I'm coming back in to lay down the second side. Same thing. I'm using a really thick coat of Mod Podge. I'm super excited about this design because I want to offer it for sale the way I did my cow. So if y'all are interested in seeing this as a printable that you can order from Zazzle, I'd love to know. Let me know. I've ordered mine. Also, I had another idea that I wanted to run by you, and so I need to know in the comments if you would like me to demonstrate to you how to make your own decoupage paper. Not necessarily your own images. If you can, if you're an artist and you want to use your own images, that would be fantastic. But if you don't, there are images you can get on Creative Fabrica that you'll have a full commercial license to use, and you can combine any image that you find over there or any image that you have permission to use, and you can design your own decoupage paper. Bet you didn't know that, and it's super easy. Super easy. Okay, now we're adding those slats. I'm calling this project a tapestry because that's what it reminds me of, but I'm sure we've all seen these at our favorite home decor stores. I see them everywhere right now. And they just have wood slats on the top and the bottom. So these are slats that, guess what, I bought at the bins. I bought them a long time ago, years ago, and every once in a while when I need them, I still have them. So I trimmed these down so they would be the exact width of my project here. And now I'm just using glue and a brad nailer to secure two slats, front and back, top and bottom. So when you do your top slats, you definitely want to remember that you have to include the twine hanger. So I'm just using a length of jute to sandwich between my front or my top slats as a hanger. So don't forget that if you're going to make this project, definitely include twine, and you'll have a hanger. I know I get to that. Eventually I'll get to that. Eventually I get to everything. It's just sometimes it's a longer eventually. All right, I love the way this is turning out. And by the way, I just used antiquing wax to stain my slats there. That's just sometimes the fastest way to get a job done is by using the Waverly antiquing wax. I water it down quite a bit because I do not like the way that it doesn't glide across the surface in its natural state. But if you add some water, I like the way that it handles much better. So here we go. Now we've got that jute cord sandwiched between my two slats, and I can go ahead and turn it over. Apparently I'm turning it over very gingerly because I really don't want it all to fall apart as I turn it over. And I'm trying really hard to keep it together as I nail it so that it all ends up in the right place. Anyway, we're about done with this DIY. We're done with this video. It's coming to an end, but I wanted to thank you for tuning in today and also remind you to like, comment, subscribe, do all the things that are going to help me be successful here on YouTube. I really appreciate your help. I appreciate your nice comments, and I also appreciate the very many of you that bought the cow decoupage paper. Let me know if this is something you want to see